Hi, welcome Wings, Wheels, and Wires, your channel for tech and travel, and today we're going to talk about electric vehicle charging. So, a while back, I did a review of this app called BlueDot. I'll put the link up here for you to watch that one. Now, this is a rewards app, so you can use it, basically get rewards for driving your electric vehicle. You register your vehicle with the company, they track your mileage, and you get rewards for that. Now, what they didn't have at that time was the actual ability to charge your car using the app, which they had promised in the future. And since then, I've gotten that ability, I've put it to use, and we're going to do a video about that and my impressions of it and how it worked right now.
Sound the alarm, I'm coming up, we'll have a ball, I'm sweet like a...
So, one of the wonderful things about electric vehicles is fueling them is generally cheaper than gas cars because they're both more efficient and because the cost of electricity is lower than the cost of gas. But this isn't always the case. Here's an example of just how expensive that can be. For example, we'll use EVgo charging as they have the more consistent pricing plan. We're going to apply 10 kilowatts of power. We're going to start with a $3 connection fee, and then we're going to be charging at peak time, so we're going to pay 64 cents per kilowatt for a total of $6.40 per kilowatt. This gives us a total for our 10 kilowatts of $9.40. So now we have $9.40 for our 10 kilowatts of charging. Now we'll have to translate that to miles. My BMW i3 gets 3.7 miles per kilowatt, which means I would get a total of 37 miles. Now I'll take that 37 miles and divide it by 940, and it gives us 25 cents per mile cost of charge. Now let's compare this to the average gas car. So we'll take our 37 miles and divide it by the US average of 25 miles per gallon, giving us a total of 1.54 gallons, which we will then multiply by $4.74, which is a California average for the price of gas at the time of recording. That gives us a total of $7.30. Now let's take this $7.30 and divide it by the 37 miles that we're traveling, which gives us 20 cents per mile. 5 cents cheaper per mile than our EV charge. Okay, so this is probably the worst case scenario for charging, but this is how much it can cost. Now, there's ways to do it cheaper, right? First and foremost, charging at home at the lowest cost time of day saves a lot of money. This is what I do 95% of the time for my vehicle. And there's also, in a lot of places, free EV charging, right? I have actually done videos where I've seen how cheaply I can travel from one place to another using free charging. But that's here in the California coast. The reality of it is that in a lot of places, finding charging in general is difficult. And of course, free charging almost impossible. I learned a lot of this on my trip to Vegas, where I got away from the coast and chargers became a lot more scarce. I came across a lot of non-functional and broken chargers at times that I really needed one. So this may not always be an option, right? So what can you do? Well, we're going to break down how this app helps with that, and I'm going to hit up the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the good. All right. Charging on this vehicle is 30 cents per kilowatt at participating stations. All right, you've already seen from my example that charging normally is a lot more than that at some locations, and you have connection fees, service fees, access fees, you name it. None of those are present here. So what you pay is simply 30 cents per kilowatt. So this is awesome, right? And this can be a huge savings. Let's take a look at how that savings breaks down. Let's take our 10 kilowatts, multiply it by 30 cents, giving us a total of $3. Now we're going to divide this $3 by the 37 miles that we get, giving us a total of 8 cents per mile. Saving a few cents per kilowatt may not seem like a big deal, but let's protract it out. My 50-mile daily commute would save me $8 per day. And over the course of a week, it would cost me $40. And over a year, over $2,000. What do you think of these savings? Go ahead and drop a comment down below. While you're at it, if you're enjoying the video or find it useful, hit the like button. And as always, it would be totally awesome if you subscribe. If you subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified of future videos. All right, and that's for DC fast charging. Also, by the way, they have a reduced rate for level 2 charging. Now, there's a lot more free level 2 chargers. And when you're on the road, there may be a lot of times where you aren't going to want to use a level 2 charger. But there are a lot of companies that do charge for level 2 charging. And that price can be as much as 20, 30 cents per kilowatt, which you stop and think about for level 2 charging. It's kind of high, right? Here, the level 2 charging is 3 cents per kilowatt. This is absolutely awesome. It's darn near free, right? You can fill up a car for less than $1. So that's pretty great. Also, when the app works and everything's in place, it works awesomely. Because one of the things about this is it reduces the number of apps you have to deal with. The two companies that I've observed that it works with so far, EVgo and ChargePoint, EVgo has a fixed set of rates, and the app is sometimes helpful, sometimes not. And this app is really simple to use. ChargePoint, if you've ever used their touchscreen display, you know what a pain that can be. It's more like a punch screen display because sometimes when you're pressing it, you can't even get the buttons to work. The app can start and stop the charging for you, but the problem with the ChargePoint app is a lot of their chargers I've observed don't show up on the app. Their own chargers don't show up on their app. So this can be a real pain too. So if it is a fee charger, you can go ahead and use it. This is how simple it is to use. When you open up the app, it goes straight to the charging map. You select the charger that you're at. It'll open up the status page. You plug in, select start charging, and when you've finished charging your vehicle, you go ahead and stop charge. Okay, so this part might be a matter of taste. I like it, you may not. The card you have set up with the account is a debit card, not a credit card. I personally prefer that. I didn't really want to have another credit card showing up on my credit accounts that I had to manage or deal with or hope nobody steals my identity and uses it, right? So the fact that it's a debit card and I can control how much money somebody would have access to if my account were to get hacked or something, makes me feel a lot more safe and secure. It's time for section 2, the bad. All right, so I got the slightly bad and the pretty annoying bad. All right, the slightly bad is that there are a few things that could use some better instructions or some better guidance, and those things just don't have it, right? For example, one of the wonderful things is when you open this account, they'll give you a $10 credit to use towards your charging. I didn't even know I had that $10 credit till I reached out to BlueDot for a completely separate concern. And they had attributed maybe that problem was coming from the $10 credit. I'm like, I have a $10 credit? Also, I don't know if that's $10 off your first charge or your as many charges as it takes to use the $10, right? For example, if you charge $5, did you just lose the other 5, or did you or do you can use the other 5 later on, right? And unfortunately, I still don't know. The way mine's set up, the first 2 transactions got delayed, so I actually got the $10 credit for $3 of charging on my third transaction, and the second 2 never had it. So I think it's single use, but I don't know this. The other part is where it doesn't give you a lot of guidance is there's a minimum balance before you have to recharge the card. And this makes perfect sense. The problem is you find out the balance when you need the charge and you don't have it, right? In my case, I discovered apparently it is $15 minimum balance on the card because I had $14.94 and I went to use the charger and it told me I couldn't charge because I didn't have enough on the card. Would have been nice to know that. Maybe they could put a banner on there or something so you know that you need to recharge ahead of time. Now, why this is important brings us to the much bigger problem in the bad category. Transaction speeds. All right, so the delayed transaction I spoke of, my first 2 transactions that came after my third one, I did these in late November. It was late December by the time they showed up on my account. This is a ridiculously long time, and then of course you might think you have a balance and the transactions catch up to you and then it destroys your balance and then you don't have enough to charge. And then this becomes a problem because recharging the card can also take quite a long time. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You go to an ATM of some sort that's connected to them and charge it through there. That's probably the quickest way. They have another way that they just implemented, which is supposed to be much faster, where you transfer from one debit card to another. It doesn't work with credit cards, only with debit cards. Since I don't have any other debit card, I can't use this option. Then there is the transferring it from your bank to that card, which it tells you, it warns you that it can take up to 3 work days for this to come across. The problem is, one, I've discovered this when I needed the transaction to happen in about 5 minutes, so my bad. But that transaction didn't get completed for 6 working days. So I could not use the app to charge my car for 6 days. Luckily, I didn't need it, but if I did, I'd have been totally screwed. Now, I've talked with BlueDot, I'm in communication with them from time to time, and they've assured me that this process is going to speed up. They're working out the bugs to streamline this. Until they do, it's kind of I wouldn't delete my old charging apps just yet until they get that worked out, just so you have some kind of backup. So that brings us to our third part, the ugly. All right, and really it's not the ugly, it's kind of the extra. Now, the reason being that there's a few caveats and addendums I have to throw on this. The first one is there's a little bit of buyer beware on this. It will charge you that 30 cents or 3 cents regardless of what the charger would charge you, right? Which is awesome when the charger is going to charge you 64 cents per kilowatt and a $3 connection fee. Not so great if the charge was going to be free, right? Because now you're paying 30 cents per kilowatt or 3 cents per kilowatt for charging that you wouldn't have had to pay anything for. So you do have to be aware of what the pricing is on the charger. In the case of EVgo, this is easy. They're always going to charge you, and they're going to charge you a fair amount. In the case of ChargePoint, where the pricing is set by the location, it could be anywhere from a penny to a kilowatt or free up to 30, 40 cents per kilowatt. So you need to be aware of how much you would have paid at the charger before you use this app. Because you could end up paying more than you have to. So it's not going to tell you, hey, this is a free charger, you shouldn't be charging using this app, or we shouldn't be charging you. It's just going to run like it is supposed to. So be aware of that. Right. So the other piece of extra info is that they are not compatible with all companies. They are compatible with EVgo. They are compatible with ChargePoint, which make up a great deal of the chargers, at least non-Tesla chargers, in the country, right? The company that's obviously missing there is Electrify America. They don't work with Electrify America. I've discovered that. I've gone to chargers and tried charge. They don't show up on their app. You'll be able to see on their app which chargers do reflect. And I've hit up a lot of the chargers in the San Diego area on the app, and every single one has been either ChargePoint or EVgo. So a lot of other companies, for example, Blink isn't included in there. Volta is not included in there, but of course, Volta, all their level 2 chargers are free. And throughout California, all their DC fast chargers, except for the 2 in San Diego, are also free. The 2 in San Diego you do have to pay for, but they're 39 cents a kilowatt, so it's not terrible. I've got to be honest, I've got mixed feelings about those being the only 2 companies they have set so far. On one side, EVgo seems to have lost a lot of their charging stations, especially the ones around Walmart. If anyone's got any clue as to what's going on with that, go ahead and put that in the comments below. It seems to be specifically Walmart chargers that they're losing. I know one in Imperial Beach, one in Otay Ranch, and one north of LA when we were going up to San Luis Obispo. I got a notification that one was shut down. They're specifically at those locations. I'm not too sure why. And continuing on, them not having Electrify America on there, this does eliminate a lot of chargers, but I've got to be honest, the vast majority of network chargers I've run across that malfunctioned or broke were Electrify America. So generally, anytime I've stopped somewhere, if I had the option to use any other company than them, I've done so, because honestly, they've caused me quite a few headaches. So it sucks that they don't have them, but I don't usually use them anyway, so it's not a great loss for me. But if you're a big Electrify America fan, this would be a big deal for you. So what do you think of the BlueDot app and its charging capability? Do you think this is something that would be useful for you or not? I'd love to hear down in the comments whether this is something that's helpful or not. For me, I really love the possibility of when I do have to charge, being able to pay a whole lot less. I was on a subscription plan with EVgo to not have to pay the connection fees, but then I found myself having to make a point to run out every month to use a charger, whether I needed to or not, to use up the $5 that I've already spent. And if I didn't get over there, I basically gave $5 away. So I really like not having the connection fees, not having to have a subscription, and still getting the best price for charging that I can get. But if you feel differently, or if you have some thoughts or concerns, go ahead and throw them down below. Also, time for my subscriber shout out. My new subscriber is eCar eBooks. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget, if you want a shout out, all you have to do is subscribe and either make sure that it is visible to people when you subscribe, that you're identified. That's not the default on YouTube. Or you can just leave it as it is and put down in the comments, hey, Rich, I subscribed, and I will absolutely give you a shout out. Thank you all very much for watching. Have an outstanding day.